Hey there, this is Dr. Trish Lee. I'm a board-certified neurofeedback specialist and creator of Neurofeedback Experts. I'm really excited to have just a few minutes with you today to talk about how you can add neurofeedback to your practice in a super easy and profitable way that truly can get it up and running and making you money within the next 30 days. And I know you're thinking, I don't believe it. Well, in this free class, I'm going to show you 5 tips that you could just start using right away that would really give you a push in the right direction. Okay, so let's get started. I began my career a really long time ago, over 20 years ago, as a speech-language pathologist. And I started by serving people with cognitive, communicative challenges. And when I was practicing traditional therapy, I thought to myself, there has to be a better way to help people reach their outcomes faster, better with less work. So I started digging. And I was a college professor for many of those years, for most of those years. I began researching neurotherapies, as I called them, and I studied and, grew to appreciate the brain and its ability to heal itself through neuroregulation. So, I understood that the brain was the motherboard of all functioning of our body and our mind. And if we could harness the power of our brain, we could bring our mind and body online. And that is when my love of neuroregulation began a very long time ago. And I've been on that journey ever since. So essentially, I was right a long time ago that there is a better way. It's faster, it's easier, and it helps people get better quicker. Okay, so the way that I began was I added neurofeedback to my patients' treatment programs, and I was able to increase their outcomes. And I was at the university at that time, and my family and I decided to move across the country. In our move, I was really excited about the gains that I was seeing through neurotherapy, so I decided to open my own neurofeedback clinic and not go back into academia. So I'm in a new town, and I'm trying to figure out how to get this practice up and started and making money. My husband is a chiropractor, and I opened my neurofeedback suite in the suite next to his, and we call ourselves Lee Brain and Spine. So I knew there was some things I had to do to let my community know that I am here and, to get the ball rolling. So essentially, since the few years that I have been here in my new community, my practice has grown and grown and grown every year. And of course, with that, I've made more money every year, which is, so helpful. I have 5 children, so of course that's very helpful. And the most important part is I have been able to help so many families with challenges that they were really stuck in trying to figure out how to conquer. And I'm having a blast doing it. Neurofeedback is cutting edge. It's so interesting. It's so fun to be able to use. So at the same time, I began to advise and coach other practices that were thinking about adding neurofeedback to their clinic. And the people that I was coaching through my consulting business basically asked me to organize all the information that I was telling them, my knowledge base and my systems, and put everything together so that they can just use them to get their practice up and running and making money quickly. So that's what I've done, and that's how Neurofeedback Experts is born. So even though I'm incredibly busy, I've taken the time out to put this thing together so that other people can benefit, and truly people who need neurofeedback are the ones that will really benefit by having neurofeedback experts across the country that can serve people. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you why it's really important that you add neurofeedback to your practice right now. I know that so many people out there have already bought neurofeedback systems. They just don't know how to use them that well, and more importantly, they don't know how to convince other people that they know how to use them as well as they do. So that's what this is about. So when you add neurofeedback, you are able to boost people's goals. You are able to make more money while having a ton of fun using neuroscience. The important reason to add it now is this is the era of the brain. There's nowhere you can look where you don't see a news segment on TV or read an article in the paper that talks about brain functioning. It's funny because once you start looking for it, it's everywhere. I read tons of personal development books, and they're all just fun books on, how to improve yourself. They're all seeped in neuroscience. They all talk about changing the way that your brain functions. It's totally awesome. So if you even have an inkling of wanting to add that to your practice, now's the time to do it. Neurofeedback is, it's new in terms of healthcare. I tell people in the office that it's in its infancy, but in reality, it has been an effective treatment modality since the 60s. So it has a history. It has thousands of articles in Tier 1 journals that prove its efficacy. You'll hear me talk about the science. I'm totally a science geek, that everything in my office is evidence-based. I won't use something unless there's decent amount of evidence to support it. So it's really important for me to tell you that you need to communicate that to people so that they want to sign on for care. So that's why you should add neurofeedback, especially if you have a system sitting in a closet somewhere collecting dust. It could be put to such beautiful use, helping people and making you money. Now's the time. Okay, so 3 critical elements to your process that can help people to connect with you and convert them into committing to be your patient. All of these 3 things equal confidence. That's what it's about. So number 1 is community awareness. So I landed in a new town. I didn't know anybody. Nobody knew me or what my deal is. So I knew I had to let my new community know that I was here, what I'm doing, and that I'm really good at it. And I had to do that quickly and effectively, but that I need to continue to do that over time so that my practice will continue to grow. So I set up a community awareness calendar that I follow on an annual basis. So what I do is I provide great, informative, but tangible content that someone who doesn't have a neuroscience background can read little bits of and digest a little bit of it at a time and want to know more about it. And that's what you need to do too. So by setting up the calendar and continually giving people high quality information that they can understand, you will create a stream of people into your office who want to know more. Then when people get into your office, you need to have systems to serve them. I have a system for absolutely everything in my office. My office runs like a well-oiled machine. We have a system from the very first second someone's interested all the way to securing a testimonial from them. So flawless systems that are proven to convert will just raise your confidence also, because as people come into your office, they're staying, they're not leaving. So essentially, you have to have a system so that you can be confident. I have a great example of something that happened yesterday, true story. So a dad of a teenager was in my office for the first visit, and I was explaining some of the information about neurofeedback to him, and he said to me, so the hope is that when you change the way his brain is functioning, yada, yada, yada. And I listened to him and let him finish, but then I said to him, there is no hope in my office. I do not use hope as a strategy. But what I can tell you is the system that I use to make sure people are moving towards their goals, the system that I use for sharing progress with you, all of which is scientifically based. And that just changed the whole conversation. It was no longer me talking about what I hope to do. It was me telling him how I do it and hoping that it sounds good to him, again, not hoping, but understanding that when I tell him definitively how things happen, you should have seen his face. It was priceless. His demeanor changed, and, he understood how we do things around here and that I'm in control of all the processes within my office. He shook my hand, nice firm handshake, and thanked me for sharing the information with him. So that leads right into the last thing, expertise. You actually have to know what you're doing. You have to have expert levels of achieving your patient's outcomes. And that's why it's essential that you know what you're doing with neurofeedback, and especially that you know what you're doing with your patients. So this way your skills will get better and better. And here at Neurofeedback Experts, we have a community of people to help you continue to hone your neurofeedback skills so that you are getting better and better all the time. Okay, so the number one step you cannot miss if you're going to help people commit, you have to educate them. So I talk to people in my office, and I have a system. I have slides that I show them that are quick and easy for them to understand, that are available to neurofeedback experts. I walk them through these videos. I ask them if they have questions. It's a conversation per se, but it's based upon the information that I am sharing with them. So educating people simply and succinctly, and just helping them to understand what you do, will then make people want to commit to working with you, because now they know what it's about. I tell people, I'm going to share all this information with you so that you can decide if this is a good fit for you and if it's something you're interested in doing. And, education then inspires and empowers people to pay for services that they really value. Everybody in my office pays upfront, so it's very important that they're all in, that they've committed. The only way you can commit to something is if you really want to do it, and you want to do something when you understand how it works and how it's going to help you. So this is a really, really important step. Number 4, the number one biggest mistake people make that tanks their neurofeedback practice, and I think this is especially true for neurofeedback. I'll see signs everywhere that has, neurofeedback or neuromapping, brain mapping, and then it will list 75 things underneath it that are treated by neurofeedback. And the truth is, neurofeedback can benefit all 75 of those things, but the truth is, your scope of practice and license does not enable you to treat all 75 of those things, and there's no way you can be an expert in all of those things. So do not make the mistake of trying to appeal to everyone and end up serving no one. So when I make my community awareness schedule, I am communicating with people that I am an expert in ADHD, learning challenges, head injury, concussions, anxiety. Those are things that I am a specialist in. I've been treating for a really long time. I know exactly what I'm doing, regardless of neurofeedback. Now I know exactly what I'm doing with neurofeedback. They are my passions. They're the things that I care about. They're the things that I'm good at serving people. So you need to find your passion and find those people that would be your ideal customer. If you could only treat one kind of patient, what would it be? If you could only fill your office with that patient, who would they be? Start there. And then, maybe add 3 or 4 things so that you can cast your net a little bit, but do not cast your net wide and far. It'll be a killer for you and your patients and for outcomes. So you really just want to feel confident in the people that you are trying to treat, because it's your passion and your credentials support that. Okay, so lastly, how do you set yourself up as an expert for a lasting, thriving business? You want to continue to give people consistent, timely content that helps to educate them and, again, inspire them and empower them to learn more about your office, become a prospective patient, then become a patient. It's just that easy. So if any of this sounds good to you, click through to the next video, because the next video explains exactly what the Neurofeedback Expert program encompasses, what you get, and how you can use it to really help people get on board and start coming into your office and stay and refer others and build your practice and have a great life, making money, helping people, and learning a lot about the brain in the meantime. Okay, thanks for listening.